forgotten about them. All right. So we're taking that number and putting it in for x. So you're multiplying -3 times each of these numbers. So -3 times -1 is going to be, what do we get? 3, thank you. Questions get harder. -3 times 0, 0. -3 times 2, -6. So we go to graph this. So there is our table of values on the graph. So then I would draw that line as best I can here. I might cheat and use an actual line. You guys hardly see that probably. So there's our line, a downhill graph. Now, in terms of this problem, we're going to learn today how we don't even have to make a table of values anymore. I do still want you to know that tables of values are options if you're like totally like forget everything. It's a good like kind of fallback. Or it's a good one if the graph is not going to be in this form that we're used to. So we're learning this slope-intercept form today. Let me see if she's available. But I don't know. All right. Well, we're going to write in the box is Mrs. Fuller's favorite formula.
This is. Are you ready?
No.
Come on, man.
No, she's so excited.
It's the only thing I remember from college. Just kidding. Okay, are you ready? Y equals mx plus b.
Thank you. They're not nearly as excited as you are. And
I know.
she anytime you're like telling a formula, she comes running in. Are you guys learning y equals mx plus b? I'm like, no, not today. So I figure I have to.
Are you guys learning y equals mx plus b?
Everyone shows up to help us. All right. So, okay. So, but like moral of the story, it's not really everything she learned in college. But if she remembers this formula, I don't know if you know, but like. It was a long time ago that I was in college. It was a long time ago that some of us were in college. So, so if she remembered something for like the last, years, it means it's probably important. Like it's something that stuck with her and she remembered because it has importance. It's something she used, and she's an English teacher. It's not like she's graphing lines for her everyday life, but at some point somebody asked her to know this equation. So, so the b in this case, do you guys remember what we said about it? So the b is like the number that was being added or subtraction. What did we say that is? What was the significance on the, like a number 3? No, other one. It was the y-intercept. So the b is the y-intercept. Now why they chose b, I wasn't there when they chose b. So I would not have probably chosen B. The reason why is because anytime I write a B, it looks like a 6. So, or the 6 starts looking like a B. So it's a little confusing. However, just kind of a trick to remember what B means is think of it to mean where you want to begin on the y-axis. So it's going to be where I begin on the y-axis. Now the m is what's being multiplied to x. So that was the number in front of the x on our problem. What was that in this?
The slope.
The slope. And we learned yesterday that m is our slope. So that's our slope. And again, I don't have a good reason why they use m. I used to think it had something to do with like some Latin word for mountain because it was a slope, and it doesn't. That's not true. So it, again, why they chose m, I don't know. But a way to remember what it means is think of it as how I'm going to move using rise over run. So m for move. So it's how we move using rise over run. And I had another math teacher mention those like little like tricks to me, and it seemed to stick for a lot of my students. So M for move, B for begin. So that's just kind of a way to remember that. It's not like the definition, but. So I'm going to show you guys that graphing really doesn't need to be very hard if it's in this form. If it's already in this form for you, you're going to be glad, and you're probably going to maybe like graphing this way because it goes pretty quickly. It's a lot easier than using a table of values. So I'm asking you guys every time what the M and B are. Now, just so you guys know, part of your homework today will ask you just what the y-intercept and slope are, and you don't even have to graph it. So make sure you follow directions on your homework, so don't do more work than you need to. But what's the B in this first example? Y equals mx plus b, yeah. That's the M. So yeah, if we have y equals mx plus b. B is always being added or subtracted on the end, so the b is -5. And then I'm going to point out the slope right away. That's our m, that's 1/2. Notice I don't even have any variables in this part of it. I'm just taking those little pieces out of my formula. Guys, I need the computers closed, please. This should be what you're working on right now. So the b is where we begin on the y-axis. So on the y-axis, which is the up and down axis, I'm just going to put a dot at -5. So it's where I begin. So I didn't have to do any substituting, any figuring out what values of x I want to use. I can just put that dot on there. That's where I begin. Then I'm going to move using my slope. So this is my rise over my run. Now it's an uphill slope, so I think puff, puff, positive. All these little things that I get stuck in your head are intentional so that you can remember them. Rise over run, I'm going to go up 1 and over 2. Oh gosh, why did that not? Up 1 and over 2. Stop doing that. This is somehow clipped off of that. And I can do that a few times. My elbow or something? Come on. It must be something. Yeah, I don't. Well, because this straw doesn't work on my smartphone, so yeah, I don't know. Let's try this instead. I don't know.
It's like pressing the dot that you're.
Yeah.
Oh, it's going way off to the right.
Oh, that's really weird. I wonder why it's
Maybe
doing.
go way off
Wow.
the dot.
Okay. Well, technology. Technology is so neat. I'll have to play with it a little bit later. But so the point of this is that I could put a whole bunch of points on my graph without having to do much work. So put more than just 2 points on your graph. Go up 1 over 2, up 1 over 2. Keep going. And you can also go down 1, back 2. Down 1, back 2. It likes doing 1 dot and that's it. Ah. Maybe I'll have to make a shape with a dot. Do that. So I can put a bunch of dots on this graph. And I can have a whole bunch of them without having to do any math. I'm just counting. Up 1 over 2, up 1 over 2. Just keeps happening. Up 1 over 2. Oh, that didn't work. And then I can reverse it. I can go down 1, back 2. So I can have a pretty clear, oh, that didn't go back 2. I can have a pretty clear line here for my graph. And it shouldn't take much work if I don't have technology issues. So draw more than 1 point, guys. the more points you can draw, the more accurate your line is. Just like if you were doing like a dot-to-dot drawing, you get those on there. So, can you put your phone away, please? Draw your line, please. All right, how we do? Okay. So, next one. And once you get the hang of this, you're gonna like totally roll on these first few problems on this side. So in this case, the b is what? The number, it's gonna be 1, because it's mx plus b. So the b is 1, bless you. That's where I'm gonna begin on the y-axis. So begin on the y-axis at 1. I'm afraid to make a dot. Let's do this one again. This is, I thought it was going so like seamlessly yesterday and then now here today. All right, so there's my first dot. Then, what's my slope gonna be? It's a -3, but I heard you say it like that, I want it to be rise over run. So to get that bottom of that fraction, I'm gonna put it over 1. Hey Dave, can you come out in the hallway, please? So I'm going to go down 3 and over 1. Oh gosh, that's so good. So I'm going to go down 3 and over 1. So you guys want to get a few dots on there and get that line drawn. So do you guys go a few times, down 3 over 1. And again, if it doesn't form a straight line, you did something wrong. So you want to make sure that it's getting a straight line there. But you can also reverse it. You can go up 3, back 1. So you're able to get that line drawn. Do more dots than that. Make sure it's a little more accurate. So give me more dots rather than less. Now, if you guys are working ahead of me, just so you guys know, the back side of the worksheet's a little bit trickier. So if you guys got there, you might have to be patient with me for that. And draw your line then. So get that line drawn. So there is our line for -3x plus 1. I hope you're realizing that this is a lot better than when we had to make a whole table of values like in the warm-up question. Once you gotta get it down, like it really like makes a lot of sense, and the formula is a nice formula. Now this one, we have our mx plus b again. What's b in this case? Yeah, go ahead, Reagan. -3. How about the m? You know? It's going to be 1. Because there's nothing in front of the x, it's really going to be like a 1x minus 3. So that's going to be our slope, is just 1. And again, with slope, we want to make that rise over run, so 1 over 1. So we're going to put a dot, again, begin on the y-axis at -3. And you might be like, oh, that poor x-axis, nothing interesting happens to it, it's fine. Doesn't, you know, like we don't use that, not useful. And then we're just going to go up 1 over 1 from there. So from that spot, up 1 over 1, getting smarter, change my little thing here. Up 1 over 1, up 1 over 1, up 1 over 1, and you can also reverse it and go down 1 over 1 as well. And so you can really get like 20 dots on this graph pretty quickly without having to do a whole lot of work. Okay. Yeah, there's an x and y on the same side of equal sign. So that important formula that y equals mx plus b, it's not in the right form. It doesn't look the way we want it to look. So in order for this to be the way we want it to look, so this whole side of the paper, we're going to have to get it into that form. So we want to put it in y equals mx plus b. So I'm going to write that down here just because I can't fit it up there. So when we learned last chapter how to solve for y, this is the reason. Getting that y alone and getting it into that y equals mx plus b form is going to be what we want to do so that it's easy to graph. So this problem, the y is not alone. We want y to be alone. So how do I get y to be alone? We did this last chapter, so that's, yep. Yeah, we're going to subtract 2x. Now, when I subtract 2x, these two don't go together, but I'm going to be strategic about how I write it. I'm not going to write 5 minus 2x. Why won't I write it that way? Because the 5 doesn't have the x. We want to write it so it looks like this. I want the mx term first. So I can choose to just write negative 2x first, and then the 5 is positive. You're right about that. So then I can write plus 5. This is helpful because now it's really easy to see what my b is and what my m is. So I have to do a little bit of work before I start here. Can you be on this side of the worksheet with us? So what's our b in this case?
5.
B is 5. Positive 5, very good. So we're going to go to 5. We're going to be difficult and not go to 5. So we'll go to 5, and then we'll start there, and then we'll do our slope. We're going to start at 5 here, and then we'll do our slope. So our slope is what in this case?
Negative 1 over
Negative 2 over 1. Very good. Yep, good catch. No, it's okay, I know. Negative 2, and then we can put it over 1. So from this spot, I'm going to go down 2 and over 1 to my next dot. Down 2 and over 1. So nice negative. Slope dude's going downhill. He's having fun. We're going downhill here. And again, you can reverse it and go the other direction, up 2 over 1. It should always form a straight line with these. If it doesn't form a straight line, you've done something wrong. And I do like to see quite a few dots because it doesn't take much work to do those dots. All right? Next one here. I want to get the y alone. So what do you guys think for number 5? How do I get the y alone here? What's that? Do you want to move the 2y or you move x? It doesn't matter. Is there a preference? Minus x. I'd probably move the x, even though the y is on the other side of the equal sign. I like to leave the y where it is if I can. What's 0 minus x? What kind of x? Negative x. Okay. I want to get my y alone, so what am I going to do? Divide by 2. Now, since this is on the wrong side of the equal sign, I'm just going to flip it. So I'm going to write y equals, you can just switch it around just so.
Y equals negative x.
Negative x over 2 though,
Over 2.
right? All right, so negative x over 2. This one's a little bit weird. What's my b? What's being added or subtracted? 0, very good, there is no b. So b is going to be 0. So let's start at my origin there. Then how about the slope? This is similar to one of the ones we did on our green sheet. What do you think? What kind of what? Negative 1 over 2. Because in front of that x there's always a 1 we just don't write. So it's a negative 1/2 is our slope. So I'm going to go down 1 and over 2. And again, nice negative. So just being aware of what I'm doing and thinking about a negative slope so I don't end up going positive on mistake. Down 1 over 2. Down 1 over 2. And I can also reverse it. I can go up 1, back 2 as well. I'm not doing a good job connecting the dots, but you pretend. All right, take a minute to look at example 6. We're going to finish up with these last couple of examples. I'm going to tell you guys, being able to graph these lines is going to be so important. You're going to use this every year that you're in high school math. College, and maybe, like I said with Miss Muller, you'll maybe do it even in college. We're going to get through high school math for now. It's our first goal. I'll start the next problem with you. I'm just going to put a punch here for our graphs. All right. So would you guys move over in 6? Move the x over. Yeah, and so right away, like Clayton was mentioning that he would write the negative x first. So negative x and then plus 10, right? So yeah, the 5 is being multiplied to y, so we're going to divide by 5. Now careful here, this gets a little bit tricky. Now, on the last test, I always said it was fine if you guys left it that way. However, we really want to know what m and b are. So I do actually want to divide each of these by 5. So just like we did in that last column, I'll have a negative x over 5 or a negative 1x over 5. And then what's 10 over 5? 2. So you do want to divide each of these so that you could figure out what m and b are. We never went that far, or some of you guys didn't go that far on our last test, and that was okay because we didn't really need to use that. So going a little bit further on these and simplifying it a little bit more is what we're going to do. So in this case, our b is 2, and our slope is
Negative 1 over 5.
negative 1 over 5. So I'm going to begin at 2. Make my board mad. Begin at 2, eventually. Again, we always begin on that y-axis, kind of ignore that x-axis. And then we're going to go down 1 and over 5. So this is the kind of a gradual downhill slope here. Down 1 over 5. We could go up 1, back 5 as well. And to get our line. Okay. And then finally number 7, last one here. And then I'll get you guys your graph paper and you'll have time for homework. What do we need to do to get y alone? Divide by 5. Again, I don't really like it when the y is on the right side, so I'm just going to flip it. This is going to go away, so I have 4/5 x. What's my b in this case?
0.
B is 0. There is no b. So b is 0. And then my slope is 4/5. Is that me? Thank you. The one time she answers it, it might be for me. It's usually for her. So up 4 and over 5. Is it the one time it's for me? No?
No.
It's always for you. I'm just your secretary here. Up 4/5. And then again, I can go down 4, back 5 as well. To kind of get a good vision of what this whole line looks like. All right? Do you like that better than tables of values? Yes, much better, hopefully. If not, you'll hopefully buy into it. Probably when you go back and have to do a table of values, you'll be like, oh, I forgot that I did not like these values. So, and I know you're like, I can't believe I'm saying I'm liking a type of graphing, so maybe it's the least hated type. So, graph paper, you guys, I believe, have 8 graphs to do, but please read the directions. I think the first, smattering of problems just asks you guys to find the slope and y-intercept, and it doesn't ask you to graph it at all. So make sure you read the directions. I'm not used to having an almost full class here. Holy cow. Gang's all back together. All right, so homework is listed there for you guys. Again, read the directions, make sure you have that all